This giant 40-foot cross in Bladensburg, Maryland, just outside Washington, D.C., was erected almost a century ago as a monument to fallen soldiers of World War I. Today, the so-called Peace Cross is at the center of a different battle in the U.S. Supreme Court over the First Amendment's separation of church and state.
When we looked at it and looked into the history, we realized that this was put up on public land, that this was inappropriately done, that for years it's been a discrimination that exists.
The 93-year-old memorial cross holds the names of 49 fallen soldiers from the county who died in Europe during World War I. Local families and the American Legion paid for the monument, which resides on a prominent intersection of government-owned land and is now maintained by a Maryland Parks Commission. The plaintiffs in the case say the memorial is offensive to soldiers who aren't Christian and want it to be relocated to private land or redesigned so that it's no longer in the shape of a religious symbol.
What we want to make sure is that a neutral, religiously neutral monument is put here that does represent all veterans of all wars.
The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit agreed, ruling that the size and location of the cross amounts to a government endorsement of Christianity. But defenders of the monument insist it's been used throughout its history as a secular site for hundreds of remembrance events honoring veterans. And they say the memorial's shape was chosen not for religious reasons, but to resemble the cross-shaped grave markers for fallen American soldiers in cemeteries overseas.
It's a peace cross that has nothing to do with religion.
Mary Ann LaQuay's uncle is memorialized on the cross.
It represents these men. 49 men. It doesn't represent anything other than that. I just don't want it lost.
Supporters of the Peace Cross worry if this memorial is deemed unconstitutional, there will be a ripple effect across the country, potentially impacting hundreds of other monuments, from the Ground Zero Cross in New York's 9/11 Memorial to the Canadian Cross of Sacrifice in Arlington National Cemetery.
And then you could go on across the entire country where the bulldozer is going to continue to have to roll, knocking down memorial after memorial, just because some Gold Star mothers back in 1919 chose a memorial that mimicked the gravestones that their sons were buried over in Europe.
The Supreme Court will hear oral arguments on the monument's fate this Wednesday. Kelly Daschle, Associated Press.